Let me ask you this question. Let me switch this up a second here. So, ask everybody this question, just see their perspective.
Yeah.
So, you're remember those old movie theaters that had the cinema and it had like the billing on the movie up top, kind of like the Apollo Theater, right?
Yep.
So you're walking down the street and you have to choose one. So to your left, obviously you're going to see, obviously to your left is Michael Jackson in his prime in concert. Whatever era you feel is his prime, that's the one you'll go to. And to your right is Prime Ali versus Frazier, and you can only choose one. Where you going?
All right. First of all, the Michael Jackson period be off the wall period, right before you hit
Agreed.
with the Thriller.
Agreed.
Okay.
Agreed.
But I would probably go with Ali and Frazier.
Mm.
I would because, and it's a tough one because you're talking about two of the all-time greats, and you're talking about like special artists, both of them. Um, but I'm going to go with Ali. Ali to me is, and he dabbled in he's pro wrestling. He didn't look at it as just the fight that's going on in the ring. He understood about the story that you got to tell going into the ring, but he also knew how to promote a fight. He knew how to work the microphone. He knew how to work the media. Like, he found like a Howard Cosell and knew that this is the perfect mouthpiece for me to promote myself. Like, he was the master of that. Like, I think I look at Michael Jackson, and to me, it's Michael Jackson, the guy on stage. I never was really interested in Michael Jackson and what he was doing off the stage. There's only what he was doing on stage and what he was doing on the record. With Muhammad Ali, sometimes the least most important thing is what he was doing in the ring. He knew how to work. He understood how to be a great showman and what it took to be a great showman. And so for me, it's to see Muhammad Ali and Frazier.
That's a great, that's a great reasoning because, at the time, you got to really look at it at the time when you know what you're going to get. And that impact of hearing two grown men punching each other in the ring and just seeing that go on, those guys would fight 15 rounds, 4 or 5 minute rounds.
And they would let a lot more happen in their fights than what happens in boxing today. Like, it's just a different, like you said, it would go to distance, and you just don't see that anymore. Now, when you see a fight go to distance, it's more about they're kind of dancing more than they're actually fighting. You're going back to a time when they did a hell of a lot more fighting, and this is Ali, who I said was the greatest showman. So you could go see Ali fight, and you didn't necessarily have to be a boxing fan. He knew how to put on a show. But you're right about the fight itself. It went the distance. It felt like it went the distance. And those fights meant everything. You knew who was fighting. You knew those fights. It goes right up through Ali to even Tyson. Like, there was just something magical about boxing in the heyday of the 60s, 70s, and then early 80s.
Absolutely, man. I am a huge boxing fan. I've still kind of lost touch with some of these guys because I know Wilder and Fury and stuff, but like the lightweights and stuff. Like Floyd might have been the last guy that was like really like thoroughly entertaining. It's a different generation now than the way it used to be. But I still watch. It's like the same with baseball, man. I love it, but I was rather however people feel about him or not. I was a big Barry guy, a big Ken Griffey Jr. guy. Like, I miss those days, you know what I mean? The young Albert Pujols days, like it's just a different time in sports. I feel like a lot of things has changed in general, but change is inevitable and there's nothing wrong with it.
No, it's the evolution. I think now when it comes to sports, it's with the exception of the NBA. I'll put the NBA to the side when it comes to this conversation, but usually it's more about the team than a superstar athlete. Like, and the NBA, I think, really more focuses on the athletes themselves. But it feels like with every other sport, it's more about the team than it is about the actual athletes on the team.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And that leads to my next question here is when it comes to what you do in broadcasting, right?
Mm-hmm.
And being able to, communicate with other people at an elite level. For my people who want to get into this field, what is the main advice that you give them when they ask you, or if anything that they might not expect getting into broadcasting? What is stuff you would give somebody?
Well, you have to work. You have to be able, nothing's going to be handed to you. You have to, like, I have a sign above my desk that says, be so good they can't ignore you. Like, that's the best advice I can give to any, just like, when it comes to the show that I do, Busted Open, not everybody believed in me or the show. They didn't believe in me as a broadcaster. They didn't believe in the show, that a pro wrestling show would work. But be so good that they can't ignore you. Don't take shortcuts. Don't take days off. Just be the best that you could possibly be, and be yourself. Don't try to be something that you're not. Like, if you're truly talented and you can truly do this, then you don't need to change. So be who you are, but show off how good you are. And, like, again, the one thing that you could take from this and always remember and always listen to is be so good they can't ignore you. Like, anytime, like right now, you being on with you, like, I'm on with you. So I'm going to do the best that I could do for you. You're taking the time to put me on your show. You've extended me the invitation, which I appreciate. So I'm going to come on the air and I'm going to do the best that I can in the time that you allow me to be on. That's what you have to that more than anything, that's the most important thing that there is.
Amen, man. And it's the same thing that a lot of guys that I've spoken to say, yo, how can you do this, or how do I do that? And I always tell them, man, it's just being able to be consistent. And a lot of times you're going to go through stretches where your consistency speaks for you more than anything else. It's like, I always tell everything. It's kind of like the Woody and the Buzz Lightyear analogy. It's like Buzz Lightyear was, in the first movie, was the new toy. Everybody loved him. And then you get to the point, as movie goes on, Buzz just becomes part of the family, and he becomes somebody. He's not the new toy anymore. He just becomes a part of the family. And that's when consistency kicks in. And I always tell people fall for the attention and the limelight. It's like, man, you got to be consistent, because your legacy is really all you have in this broadcasting thing. You have to be able to talk, be able to escalate your points, but also be able to sit back and know when it's time to go into the conversation, or know when it's time to sit back and let your guests just kind of do it. It takes a good reader of energy and a good reader of conversation too, to be able to do it, because a lot of people that do this, rather athletes or people that come into our lane, realizes that it's not that easy as people think it is.